Welcome to Jasper National Park. My name is Matt. My wife Cheryl is behind the camera. Today we are in this gorgeous National Park of Jasper, which sits just north of Banff National Park. And we're going to share with you the great things that you can do in Jasper. Okay, before we jump into the things to do, I just want to give you an overview of Jasper. So Jasper is often visited in conjunction with its more famous neighbor, Banff National Park, but it receives half the visitors of Banff, and the park is actually larger than Banff National Park, but it sits further north, and so a lot of people just turn around at the Colombian Icefields adventure, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then they go back to Banff. But it's worth coming up and spending a day or two in Jasper. Another thing to know is the Canadian national parks, they have cities within them. I can't think of a US national park that does this. They try to kick any evidence of civilization out of there, it seems like. But the Canadian national parks have these little towns in them. So Banff was actually a town that was built for tourists. That was the whole purpose of Banff. Where Jasper was a working town and a mining town at one point, and now it's serving tourists who want to come to the national park. So it's a little different, has a little bit different feel to it, a little less crowded, and a nice way to get away.
We always make stops at the visitor centers because this is kind of where you get your personalized trip planning. You can go in there and the employees are so helpful. The nice man in there, we kind of told him how long we were going to be in town for, what we wanted to see, and he gave us a little tip on where we could find wildlife. And sure enough, he told us there were bald eagles nesting in Molen Canyon, and there were, and we saw them, and it was amazing. Of course, before you travel, you should always check the National Park website, but coming into the visitor center, those are the people with their feet on the ground. They're here, they know what's going on, and they can give you some personalized trip planning. This morning, we got up from the town of Jasper and drove about 45 minutes to Maligne Lake. This is one of the most famous lakes out here. They talk about Lake Louise and then like Maligne Lake. Something special about this Maligne Lake is that to get the views you're getting from behind me, the only way you can see it is via boat. You have to go on a boat cruise, and I think a lot of times you see these beautiful formations and sometimes you're wondering, do I need to get an excursion or not? But this one, I really do feel like the boat cruise is worth it because that's the only way you're going to see these beautiful mountains. There's no hiking trails or roads that come out here. On our tour, it's been great because they actually have a boat captain and a tour guide. So the tour guide has nothing to do but tell us great things about what we're seeing. And he was telling us that Mary Schaefer kind of mapped this out, and all these formations, it's interesting, she didn't name them after herself, but she named them after the people that helped her. But in her humble opinion, she said that if Lake Louise was the pearl of the Banff Jasper area, then Molen Lake is the necklace. She just thinks that this is even more beautiful, and I'm curious what you think. If you've been here, which is better, Lake Louise or Molen Lake?
We're here at Maligne Canyon in Jasper National Park. The Maligne River has just sliced a gorge right through the rock here for about 200 feet below. Cool thing about this is the hike is very easy, mostly flat. There's kind of a steep section if you go a little farther, but there are 6 bridges that cross over this cool little gorge here that give you a bird's eye view straight down. This is located just a little ways outside of the town site of Jasper, and kind of on the way to Maligne Lake, so good little duo to do there together. We went on a Maligne Lake cruise this morning, and now we're doing the Maligne Canyon hike, and just a really easy way to get some really cool views. Okay, the next thing to do is come downtown to Jasper. The downtown is very small, but it packs a punch. There's 2 streets that have quite a bit going on in terms of restaurants and shopping. This is the main street going through town called Connaught Drive. This is where the majority of the action is going on that you can see on my left here. Over here on my right is the main parking lot. So if you're coming downtown, you're looking for parking, the big thing is just park in the parking lot across the street. It is paid parking. It's only like $2 an hour or something like that. I did find out this morning, if you're coming down to get a bakery item, like a quick breakfast, like maybe if you want to be like a Canadian and you want to get Tim Hortons. That's what all the Canadians do, your coffee and your Timbits. They have one, it's on the next street, and it's like 15-minute parking, so you don't have to worry about paying. You can just park, run in and get your Timbits, and then head on your way.
If you are really in a splurgy mood, there are some great ways to spend money around here. And the first one I want to talk about is the gondola. Now, there's gondolas at Lake Louise, there's gondolas in Jasper, and there's gondolas in Banff. We did not go on the one in Jasper because we went on the one in Banff, but holy smokes. I mean, within minutes, you can be at the top of a mountain getting views of some of the most beautiful mountains ever. I feel like this trip has actually bumped us up a class in a bad way because the mountains in the Canadian Rockies, they're just unbelievable mountains that you don't see anywhere else in the world. We live in the Rocky Mountains, but I didn't know I could be more impressed with mountains, and I have been coming here. And so these gondolas are a great way to see those views. Now the next one, it's funny, we found a spot that has all these pictures of things, but this was the Colombian Icefield adventure. This is where you get on the big trucks and you drive out onto an actual glacier. We did this yesterday because between Banff and Jasper is the Icefield Parkway. And oh my gosh, one of the most beautiful drives you can ever take in your life. Oh my goodness, just so many beautiful lakes and waterfalls along the way and glaciers up in the mountains. And then you stop here and you get to go on these great big 6-wheel drive buses. And I mean, I had low expectations of this. I could not believe how crazy this was. You have to go down on a 32% grade to go down to these glaciers. And then, I mean, the glaciers, they feel like crushed ice from 7-Eleven, and they're actually blue underneath them, like the colors of the lakes. People were just jubilant to be on that glacier because it was such a unique experience. Even some of the people in our travel group, they don't like to spend money very much on trips, but they were like, this is worth it. It is so cool. But even if you can't go up there, that Icefield Parkway between Banff and Jasper is a phenomenal drive. And I mean, we started at 8 in the morning. We didn't get here until like 7. So this was like an 11-hour trek. And I wish we would have had more time because there were so many beautiful stops, hikes, waterfalls along the way that, wow, just the Canadian Rockies are like a 10 plus in my book. Now, this last one I want to talk about is the Skywalk, which is right by the Icefields adventure. And what it is it's a glass lookout where you can look straight down into the canyon below, and there's a river and there's waterfalls going into it. And it is very beautiful, very cool. It takes about 30 minutes. We wouldn't have like bought it a la carte because it's about $40 to go do this experience. But because we were doing those other adventures together, it made it super affordable. And so we got to do that too because we booked our tickets in advance and we were doing a few other activities. So if you're going to be in the Banff Jasper area, you might want to go onto the Pursuit website and just look at some of these adventure packages and pick out the activities that you are interested in, because there are a lot of savings to be had if you book more than 2 weeks in advance and if you book more than one thing. We are at Lake Edith right now, and you can see behind me that people are out here on their stand-up paddle boards, and there's a rental spot right behind me. A lot of the lakes in Jasper offer rentals. Like, for example, this is about $48 for 1 hour for a stand-up paddleboard. Jasper is a beautiful sightseeing park. I cannot believe all the things we've seen just today, and this park is huge. But even if you love to go sightseeing, I really think a good way to really enjoy a trip of any kind is to mix some recreation in there, and getting out on the water, going for a little walk, just doing some sort of little adventure can really add to the fun of a trip. Part of exploring a new place is trying out new food. And fortunately for you, we like to eat. So we've tried out a few things, and we've talked to a lot of locals about things that they like. We've actually gotten waffles at a couple of places because, of course, they're famous for their maple syrup. We went to Jasper Wafflato, and they had really like amazing dessert waffles, but they also had some savory ones too. And our son especially loved his chicken and waffles, and so that was pretty fun. We're at Beaver Tails right now because in Canada, the beaver tail is king. And we are going ultra Canadian by getting a beaver tail that is maple flavored. I'm gonna be honest, this is the third time we've got beaver tails because our kids say these are better than donuts. Okay, and then Matt told me we have to take another crack at poutine. This is fries, gravy, and squeaky cheese. I don't know, I'm not too excited about it. I feel like we've just bought heart disease for $17. Okay. Fries good, cheese good, gravy not good.
All right, next up is the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge. So Banff has its Fairmont hotels, which are these castles in the Rockies, the Banff Springs Hotel and the Lake Louise Chateau there. Jasper, a little more understated than the pompous Banff ones. Jasper is more like a lodge, but once you walk inside, it's very fancy. So the entire resort is really, really wonderful. This is a place that you can come and check out even if you're not staying here. This lake behind me, this is Beaufort Lake, which is full of a lot of wildlife, and you can canoe and kayak on the lake. You can just sit on the edge of the lake. It's just gorgeous out here. They have really, really pretty grounds that you can hang out on. A lot of cabins around, so like all the places you would stay are little cabins all over the place here. They have also planetarium tours. You know, Jasper is like the largest dark sky preserve in the country, or maybe in North America or the world or something like that. You know, Jasper is actually a larger park than Yellowstone National Park, believe it or not. Really large, and you're gonna be able to see the night sky really well here as long as it's not cloudy. Behind me is the Lobstick Lodge. This is where Cheryl and I stayed. This is one of the more affordable places that we found in Jasper, and our parents still paid over $300 a night Canadian, and that was just for the basic room. I think every room comes with 2 beds. Cheryl and I have 4 kids, so we had to get a suite, and it was close to $500 a night Canadian. So that's crazy. So the lodging gonna be pretty expensive when you come to Jasper. That Jasper Park Lodge that we went to earlier, that's a place that you could stay. Also, the Pyramid Lake Lodge is really nice. It sits right on Pyramid Lake with a beautiful view of the mountains behind it. Both those are run by Pursuit. And of course, there's plenty of other places that you could look for lodging, including the Jasper Hostel in town for maybe a more affordable option. This video is part of our playlist on Banff and the Canadian Rockies. Thank you so much for watching. Check out our playlist, and until next time, go to the Great White North, young traveler.